Arsenal's 9-game unbeaten run is over, as goals from Veerman and De Jong handed Arsenal their first defeat in 10. But from the performance of Cody Gakpo to Arsenal's tactical issues and what this result means for the future, they say you learn a lot from defeats. So here are the 5 things that we learnt from PSV 2, Arsenal 0. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14. Welcome back to your boys channel. And yes, the Arsenal have lost, but more importantly, I want to send my prayers to Pablo Mari and his family, as the former Arsenal centre-back got stabbed by a madman in a shopping centre close to Milan. He was amongst 6 people stabbed, and he's now in hospital. Arsenal say we are all shocked to hear the dreadful news about the stabbing in Italy. We have been in contact with Pablo's agent, who has told us he is in hospital and not seriously hurt. Terrible and shocking news, and all I can say is thoughts and prayers to all of those that have unfortunately been affected. But let's get into the video, and starting off with Arsenal's reality check. After that really annoying draw against Southampton, this game against PSV Eindhoven away, it was never going to be easy. PSV are a banging form team that have been scoring goals for fun, and as Mikel Arteta says, I am very disappointed. It is the end of a long run, where we have won a lot of games, and today is our first defeat since the start of September, and we have to reset. Congrats to PSV, they were the better team today, and this was Arsenal's first game all season that they have failed to score. Now, Arsenal had nearly 70% possession, which indicates they actually had a lot of control, and despite PSV trying to make a fast start, Arsenal were able to ride the momentum, slow the game down. We were progressing the ball into the final third and getting it into dangerous areas like the half spaces. But as you can see from this graphic, in terms of passes in that final third of zone 14 and the half spaces, there's a lot of passes sideways, a few passes into the box, and very few into the danger areas. This was a game where Arsenal had a lot of the possession, but not much punch. I thought the likes of Gabriel Martinelli was poor, and despite Fabio Vieira trying, there was a real lack of movement in behind. And yes, Arsenal threw on Jesus and Saka, but even with those guys on the pitch, Arsenal still weren't that decisive. Not only are all of our profiles very similar, but I think we kind of lack a plan B type of striker, someone like a Luke De Jong, who is a target man and you can hit in the box. As Martin Keown says, the strength and depth isn't quite there, but when they are not playing regularly like the reserves, you get these mistakes here and there. As long as they can learn from this, they will be hurting, but they can use this as fuel going into the Forest game at the weekend. This month was always going to be hectic. In total 9 games in October, the most that Arsenal have had in over 50 years. At the start of the month, Arsenal are flying, everyone is pressing and it looks so good. But as the weeks have gone by, the games are taking a hit on the Arsenal intensity, and too often in these games, especially away from home, instead of being decisive and pushing and being aggressive, Arsenal are choosing to coast. And in European away games, as Mikel Arteta says, if you're going to do that, there is a very good chance that you're not going to win the game. It's a prime indication of a problem that Arsenal need to address in the January transfer window, because behind the likes of Gabriel Martinelli, Saka and Partey, Arsenal need to sign proper options. On to the second thing, and that is Arsenal's high line. Now, since the game, a lot of fans have said that this was Arsenal's worst performance of the season and that Arsenal were annihilated and ripped apart. But in terms of the expected goals, PSV only mustered 0.86 and Arsenal 1.66. And if you're surprised by that, then have a look into the further breakdown of the stats. 15 shots, 12 from open play, nearly 70% possession, 527 passes to PSV's 188, 75% of the field tilt, and 71 final third entries. I couldn't quite believe the field tilt. It shows that Arsenal were completely and utterly dominant. Now, these are all factual graphics, there are no opinions involved, and it is indicated that Arsenal actually sustained quite a bit of pressure and kept the ball pretty well in the PSV final third. And I kind of believe this game the narrative has maybe been skewed, and that's mainly because of PSV's offside goals. In total, PSV had the ball into the back of the net 3 times in this game, 2 from Cody Gakpo and once from Xavi Simons, and each and every one was a jump scare for all Arsenal fans, but in reality, every single one was rightly offside. And if anything, it shows that in terms of the Arsenal high line and the offside trap, despite the obvious risks, in terms of catching offsides, factually, it's actually pretty effective. When the ball ends up in the back of the net so often, even though it might be offside, it made PSV look more threatening than actually what they were. But in terms of one of their biggest threats on the day, their captain and main talisman, Cody Gakpo, was on fire, with a 7.4 overall rating, 1 assist, 11 accurate passes, 3 key passes, 2 crosses, 2 big chances created, and 1 successful dribble. At the Emirates, Gakpo was very quiet, but in this game, when given the ball in dangerous position, actions, you could see the quality of Cody Gakpo. He scored 2 goals, they were offside, but what you could see there and there, if he can time his runs better, physically and technically, there is a lot to like about Cody Gakpo, and Arsenal fans saw that today. Of course, he's fantastic out wide, but I think in terms of his physique and his movements, I do believe Gakpo has potential to play as a number 9. Comment down below your thoughts on Gakpo's performance, and is he a player that you think Arsenal should sign in the January transfer window? Now, there was no Matt Turner going into this game as he was ruled out with an injury. Enter the scene Aaron Ramsdale to make his European debut. Let's just say things didn't quite go to plan. His distribution wasn't his best, and I don't have any questions for the first goal, but in terms of the second goal from the corner kick, for me that is all on Aaron Ramsdale. He comes out for the corner, he misses the ball, and he leaves an open net for Luke de Jong to score. To be fair to Ramsdale, it's the first time that he's made that sort of error so far as an Arsenal player, and he's normally pretty commanding from corners. But in that occasion, it was a calamity. It cost Arsenal, and it cost Arsenal by killing off the game. But some more breaking news after the game. According to Sam Dean, Gabriel Magalhaes was seen limping down the tunnel at full time. Now that would be a massive concern, especially because we have a gargantuan game now on Sunday against Forest at the Emirates. If Gabriel has picked up an injury, then might we see the defensive partnership of Ben White and William Saliba. On to the third thing, Sambi struggles. Once again on the ball, it was another efficient performance from Sambi Lokonga, completing over 90% of his passes. But it is the off the ball issues that I keep pointing out, especially in this Arsenal setup. Is it a lack of experience or a lack of understanding? But Sambi really lacks the off-ball intensity, and the prime example is for PSV's first goal. Joey Veerman scores a fantastic finish, but it's a run from midfield that Sambi Lokonga was marking all the way until the box. I kind of have a little bit of sympathy for Sambi. Playing as a number 6 in this current Arsenal setup, it gives you a lot of responsibility. Not only are you in charge of all the ball progression, but playing as a lone number 6 when Xhaka and Odegaard push forwards, it gives Sambi a massive amount of defensive responsibility, and maybe a player like Partey, who has played under Diego Simeone and has so much experience, can do. But in terms of Albert Sambi Lokonga, I still think he's not quite ready for that sort of responsibility. Less than a month and only 5 games left before the World Cup. As Arsenal fans, all we can do is just hope for the best and hope that Thomas Partey stays fit, because if Sambi Lokonga plays, Arsenal could be in trouble. Moving on to the fourth thing, no confidence in Kante. Having missed a glorious opportunity right towards the end of the game to get Arsenal back into it, his impact on games, his movement, his dribbling, and just that overall confidence to take players on. In the last 5 Europa League starts, he's missed 4 big chances. By no means am I going to turn on him, but at the same time, I understand that now Nketiah has a different level of pressure on his shoulders. Let's not forget that in the summer transfer window, Arsenal gave Nketiah a bumper new contract, and he's not starting week in week out, but in the Europa League he started every single game. But the fact that Arsenal created over 1.5 XG in this game and Nketiah scored 0, it's an example of a player lacking confidence and lacking motivation. And this is why it's so annoying, because in terms of creativity, Fabio Vieira was actually on fire, ranking the highest out of all the players on the pitch in terms of expected threats. A 7.4 rating, 1 successful dribble, 40 passes completed, 2 key passes, 1 cross, 6 long balls, 2 ground duels and 2 aerial duels won. Looking into his passing numbers, playing as that right winger cutting inside, you can see that Vieira is trying to switch the play to the left hand side if Arsenal are able to give him movement in behind, and that is how you take advantage of his devastating ability to play that final pass. Moving on to the fifth thing, the wake up call. All things said and done, this was Arsenal's first defeat in 10 games, so as frustrating as it was for Arsenal fans, at the same time I'm not going to overreact, because in terms of the Europa League group, Arsenal are still in first place, 2 points ahead of PSV, and only need 1 point next week at the Emirates against FC Zurich to qualify top of the group. That could have been a game where Arsenal could have rested players, but now it becomes a game that Arsenal simply cannot lose. And qualifying first is actually very important, because if Arsenal can do that, they will avoid playing a last 32 playoff game against teams dropping down from the Champions League. And there are some hard games there and there. The likes of Juventus, Barcelona, Sevilla are all teams already confirmed to be in the Europa League. But with all due respect to FC Zurich at the Emirates Stadium, with the right tactics and the right team, if Arsenal play a strong enough team, it should be a simple enough game. But of course, in football, crazier things have happened. But into the future we go, and next up it's Nottingham Forest at the Emirates Stadium, FC Zurich next week, then it's Chelsea away, Brighton at home in the Carabao Cup, and ending at Wolverhampton Wanderers away before the World Cup. Chelsea away stands out, Zurich is not going to be easy, but most importantly, the next game is Forest at home, and even though it's at the Emirates Stadium, we're going to have the likes of Partey, Jesus, White and Saka all starting. There is a little bit of pressure there, but it's also our first league game at the Emirates since we beat Liverpool. Of course, as ever, it's going to be must win, and Forest have just beaten Liverpool, so they are no joke of a team. They are some dangerous players. And now let's see if Mikel Arteta's Arsenal can bounce back straight away, just like after their last defeat against Man United, going on to win 8 games in a row. But that's the video there and there, so hopefully you have enjoyed, and if you have, make sure to smash a like and also subscribe if you are new. Follow your boy in all of his social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was the 5 things that we learned from PSV 2 Arsenal 0. It's not the result that Arsenal fans wanted, it is what it is, but at the same time, we now have the perfect chance to bounce back at the Emirates Stadium this Sunday against Nottingham Forest. I'll see you next time, take care of yourselves, and in a bit.